This video demonstrates how to import data from the HCA data portal and analyze it in Terra. The Human Cell Atlas data browser offers a ton of interesting data that's stored in the cloud. And what's cool is that it's really easy to export that data to Terra for further analysis. As an example, let's use the search box to find the single-cell liver landscape dataset, which comes from a study looking at populations of monocytes and macrophages within the liver. If I hit the export button over here, it opens a page with a few different options, including one called Analyze in Terra. Click that, confirm the species, and now let's select what data type we want. The Loom files, which contain cell-by-gene count matrices. Then hit the button labeled Request Link down here. This can take a few seconds, and voila, here's the link we want, which takes us to Terra. Behind the scenes, the data portal is talking to Terra on my behalf to hand off the relevant metadata. I just need to select a destination workspace. For this demo, I'm using a clone of a public tutorial workspace that already has some relevant analyses set up to work with HCA data. Doing this lands me in the Data tab of my workspace, where I click on this table here to see the metadata for the dataset I just imported, which includes pointers to where the original data files live in the cloud, in a form called URIs. They're unique identifiers that the system will use to look up the actual file locations when I run some analyses on this dataset. There's a lot of things you could do with this data, so I'll start by showing you how to run a single-cell data processing workflow called Cumulus. I select the row of data I want to run on, then open the Actions menu. Select Open With, select Workflow, and finally select Cumulus. So this is the workflow configuration page, and you can see it's set up to run on the data I selected. There's my selected row, so okay, I can close this. The lower part of this page shows the inputs configuration, which is already filled out for me. And that's it. Now I can just hit Run Analysis and Launch to kick off the workflow. Behind the scenes, Terra talks to Google Cloud to execute each step on a separate virtual machine, which means you get impressive scalability without having to manage any computing resources yourself. Once the analysis is done, I can find my outputs over in the Files panel of the Data tab. Under Cumulus, then Liver, and here they all are, UMAP plots and everything. If you want, you can download the files, but keep in mind you pay an egress fee to download files. That's super trivial for these tiny little output files, but it can be prohibitive for the full-scale dataset. Now let me show you one more thing, how you can do an interactive analysis on this data. I'm switching to the Notebooks tab in my workspace, where you see I have 4 Jupyter notebooks demonstrating different packages that are widely used for single-cell RNA-seq analysis. Let's open up the Seurat one right here in preview mode. You could also use RStudio, which is also available in Terra, but for teaching and demo purposes, Jupyter Notebooks make it easier to provide pre-baked examples with detailed instructions. And this notebook contains a lot of really useful examples of how to do cloud-specific things like interacting with data in the cloud, then accessing data files in cloud storage and transferring them to your cloud environment's local storage to make them available for direct analysis. After that, everything works just about the same way as it would if you were working on a local machine like your laptop. The tutorial walks you through a typical analysis with the Seurat package. You should be able to apply the same analysis code to any other HCA dataset that has been processed through the project's uniform data pipelines. That being said, this is a preview mode, and if we want to actually run through any of these, we have to boot up a cloud environment, which you do through this widget over here in the corner. Hit Custom Environments, select the R Bioconductor application config, and set the number of CPUs to 4. Then hit Create. Behind the scenes, Terra is going to talk to Google Cloud to get your environment all set up with a virtual machine and all the relevant software installed. That can take a couple of minutes, but once it's set up, you're all set to work through the tutorial or just go to town on the data. And that's all it takes to use data from the HCA project on Terra.